Olympus champ achieves fame. Classic winner, the same. And a goofy Poland game? I'm David Hood, and this is Deadline, DBN's monthly news program. Dateline July 2026. For our feature story, every time we turn around these days, in our diplomacy hobby, there is news of a new event or tournament starting up. This has been true in North America, it's been true in Australia, it's true online, and it's certainly been true lately on the European circuit. Later in this program, we'll talk to Maaike Blom, an organizer of a new event in Holland called the Dutch Masters. But first, a look at headlines from around the world of diplomacy. Issue 174, the summer 2026 edition of our hobby's flagship publication, Diplomacy World, was released in early July by longtime publisher Doug Kent. Articles to highlight in this issue include Chris Brand about the evolution of his DIP TV software, which is used in running face-to-face tournaments worldwide, an interview by Randy Lawrence Hurt of one of our hobby's youngest but most energetic players, Liam Bennett, another DIP crossword from Archie Duke, and an overview of the North American Diplomacy Federation's board members and activities written by NADF President Katie Gray. There are also tournament reports from World DipCon in Greece and the Hung Parliament Handicap in Canberra, as well as tournament previews for the 2026 European Diplomacy Championship and the 2027 World DipCon to be held in Chicago. All in all, it's a packed issue, so check it out using the link provided in our show notes. Now, since our June episode of Deadline, we have several tournaments worldwide to report upon, starting with the Paris Open, which was held in late June. It was won by Alexandra Godefroy, with Antonine Foucault in second and Emmanuel de Pontevice coming in third. And then the first weekend of July saw another running of the Sydney Cup in Australia. 2026 DBNI Super 7 participants Brandon Austin and Max Wanji-Robanks took first and second, respectively, with our resident New Zealander Dominic Stevens taking third, as well as winning two Best Country Awards. The following weekend in July debuted the newest tournament, or the North American Scene, as the Diplo Rats Mischief event in Brooklyn was a smashing success, with DBN personality Karthik Konath taking the top spot in spectacular fashion over two other DBN analysts who tied for second, those being Keith Worstel and Andrew Zick. And then in mid-July, we saw the 2026 Summer Classic virtual face-to-face tournament run by Michalis Kamarides and others on the VWDC Discord server. After 8 rounds of competition throughout the weekend, the 7 best finishers advanced to a top board the following week. That board included a couple of Greys, Katie and Jason, more Australians, Claire Bradbury and Peter McNamara, hobby hair legend Stephen Hogue, and both Nastya Stiles and Maya Wild to class up the joint. In a thrilling final, Katie Gray of New Mexico edged out her ally, Jason Gray, for the victory, making her a 2-time VWDC Summer Classic champion. Check out the DBN coverage of most of these events on our YouTube channel, a link to which you can find below. Now, if all of those results have whetted your appetite, have we got some upcoming events for you in the next several months? Starting off, the long-running face-to-face tournament called the Boston Massacre will be hosted as usual by Alex Maslin the weekend of August 14 through 16 at the Pandemonium Game Store in Cambridge, Massachusetts. Next stop on the European Tour is the Swiss Championship, coming up September 5th and 6th in Sierre, under the leadership of longtime organizer Christophe Bourget. Later in September comes the Gascony Open in Mérignac, Bordeaux on September 25th, 26th, run by Gabriel Lecointre. And then the weekend after that is the jewel in the European Tour's crown, which is the European Diplomacy Championships, this year to be held in Chesterfield, England, October 2nd through 4th. More about that event later in this program. That same weekend in October, the Windy City Weasels will run their annual Weaselmoot in Chicago, and they're debuting the exact venue they will use to host next year's World Diplomacy Championship. You can find information about all these upcoming events using the DBN schedule page and the World Diplomacy reference, links to both of which can be found below. Hey, you in the audience, yeah, you, Get thee to a tournament. Let's talk now about the latest news from our various worldwide virtual face-to-face diplomacy leagues. The July edition of our show League Night dropped on July 25th, and that covered that month's 3 games of the Virtual Diplomacy League, as well as several other games from another league called the Tour of Britain. After those games, the Tour's current leader is Isaac Jukes of the UK, with American player Aurora Adaman is now slightly ahead of Australian Claire Bradbury in the Virtual Diplomacy League. Meanwhile, the 7 Years War League continues its Europe-based play in multiple languages, with British player Nastja Stiles in the winning position after 6 rounds of play, followed closely by Jelte Kuiper of the Netherlands. The Australia-based league, the Snake Pit, also hosted recent games on its Discord server, and there's more snakebite action to come for that league. So use the links below to join these leagues for join the leagues for virtual face-to-face play. Now that means live games played with audio negotiation from your very own home. It is not too late in the season to play in any of these competitions, so just jump right in. Each month here on Deadline, we like to highlight the latest and greatest video, audio, or visual content from those whom we call our DBN media partners. The British diplomacy hobby has its own Patreon-based newsletter, the July version of which is linked below in the show notes. Featured articles this time include registration information about the EDC in October, a recap of all the games played in the UK through the first half of the year, European Grand Prix standings, and a charming recap of a recent game in the London Club. And then from the world of the mammoth variant called Imperial Diplomacy comes a great video from the Evolution YouTube channel. It's called The Goofiest Poland Game in 7 Minutes. No kidding. The narrator shows all the twists and turns of his game as Poland in this diplomacy variant, as he and his fellow players balance board presences in Europe, Asia, the Middle East, Africa, and the Americas. I won't spoil the game report for you, but pay close attention to how the fleet differential in an interior lake section of Eurasia affected the entire game, as well as how events further east in Asia influenced alliance decisions being made in Western Europe between the French and the Dutch. You will not be disappointed in this 7-minute video. It's only 7 minutes of your life, so what do you have to lose? Nothing is the answer. Just use the links below in the show notes, and if you're interested in learning more about the Imperial Diplomacy variant, we've also provided the link to their Discord server. If you have not been following the Diplomat Show right here on DBN over the last few months, you have really been missing a lot. The format of the show is to feature very detailed analysis of each move on the top board for the press tournaments called Olympus and Nexus. Since Ed Sullivan actually played in the Olympus final, Keith Worstel welcomed Josh Ostrowski along with a series of guest commentators to cover that game to its recent conclusion. Now, no spoilers, but that game really has already finished. Now, Ed and Keith jointly host the ongoing coverage of the Nexus main event with the help of another rotating cast of guest analysts. The in-game state from the Olympus game was extremely interesting, while the first few moves in this Nexus final have already yielded some fun surprises. Head now to the Diplomat's video playlist that's linked below to start your fun deep dive into the world of online press tournaments, sometimes called extended deadline games. We already have WedDip, Diplicity, Backstabber, and others, but playing diplomacy online is about to get even easier. There's a new platform created to play our game. It's called Atlas Diplomacy. Its designer has released Atlas as a website for now, but mobile applications are under development. Some features of this new mode of play include a strong adjudication engine, reliability segregation to weed out players who drop out from those who play to the end, a souped-up ranking system, and a full sandbox control section for game creators. Billed as a vehicle to help promote coordinated competitive play of diplomacy, Atlas was also designed with touch capabilities and other features ideal eventually for play by mobile phone. Those apps should be available soon, so use the link below to try out the latest way to play both press and gunboat diplomacy. And now, from our friends at the Nexus Discord server, Season 2 of the United Cup has just been announced, with sign-ups to close on August 15th and the event itself to launch August 23rd. The United Cup features teams of 4 playing in a series of classic and varied events, including press, gunboat, and the 2-player variant France versus Austria. There's also a team event involving 3 players from each team playing head-to-head as France, Russia, Turkey versus Germany, Austria, Italy, with each team playing a game for each of those 2 pairings. The 7 best teams after the preliminary rounds of the entire event will play each other for the championship in a shorter set of final games. Don't miss the chance to play in our hobby's preeminent team event. The links for information and sign up are provided below. And now, as part of our series of segments called Where to Play, let's talk to player and organizer Maaike Blom about the upcoming first edition of an event called the Dutch Masters. Maaike, it is so great to have you back on Deadline.
Great to be back.
Now, our audience members will need to have been living under a rock to not know about you already, but nevertheless, tell us how you got into the game of diplomacy, and also, what about the game makes you such a fan?
Well, some of the viewers will already know this, but I got into the game because of my my famous friend Jelte Kuiper. He introduced our whole friend group. I'm the only one that really stuck, but he got me in good, and now I'm here for a few years. And what I like about the game is that it's very social, that you get to talk to people a lot, and that each game is might be similar to other games, but it's still very unique, and each game is different from a previous one.
Yes, that is one of the great things about the game. It's what we call replayability.
Yes.
Now, you've had significant success, I would say, both playing online and playing in person. Do you have a favorite mode of play yourself, and why?
I love both for different reasons, but if I had to pick one, I'm going to go with the face-to-face one, and that's because you can look people in the eye, you can really play together. The virtual scene is really fun, but there is literally a computer screen between you and usually a whole lot of distance. And what I like about face-to-face as well is the whole social environment and all the extra activities that belong to a tournament, and chatting with someone here and going out to dinner and really having such a wonderful time together.
Yes, there's really nothing like a face-to-face event, even as cool as it is to play diplomacy in any format.
Yes.
So I agree with you there. So what is your favorite country to play? I don't know if I've ever asked you that.
I'm not sure either. It has to be Russia. I love playing Russia. It's super diplomatic. You get to play both sides of the board. You're sort of in the north, sort of in the south, sort of east, sort of west. You're a bit of everything. And my favorite bit about diplomacy is the actual diplomacy. And I feel like you can do that a lot as Russia.
You know, I think in some ways diplomacy players can be divided into 2 categories. Those who want a lot of action but and therefore willing to take risks, and those who would rather play it safe and be a little more defensive. And I think the former tend to want to play Russia, and the latter do not want to play Russia, because it's a little bit of a feast or famine sometimes with Russia.
Yes, and I definitely find the slower or more patient countries more difficult, so that would make sense.
All right. Well, Maaike, we're here primarily, although not exclusively, to talk about an event that you've got coming up in early November. So give us all the down and dirty details.
I'll give you all the down and dirty you want. It's a new event. It's called the Dutch Masters. Really what happened was that Jelte and I were thinking about EDC and were being really happy thinking about it. We really liked our collaboration. It went well. People liked it. And we thought, yeah, okay, we have the Dutch NDC. What if we just did another event? And then we started talking and we thought, how fun is it if we create this event with multiple people of the Dutch hobby? So this event, Jelte is the TD, but I'm also an organizer. Jelte is an organizer. Bernard Andreoli, people must know, also organizer. René van Rooyen, organizer. Dovan, who has been away from the hobby, has now come back, organizer. We've done this together. We've created a group chat. We've talked about everything, what we want to do location-wise, what we want to call it, what social activities we want, and we're doing this event together. And the idea is that it's going to be a fairly casual event. Sure, some people might play a bit competitively, but the idea of the event is really a celebration and just having fun together playing diplomacy.
How dare you come up with an event where the primary point is to have fun? What kind of diplomacy tournament is that?
It's the Dutch hobby's fault.
Well, I would say that's what we call a feature, not a bug. I'm glad that you all are having fun and promoting the idea of having fun as an event. All right, so give us a little bit of idea about when it is, where it is, and the general format.
The event, it will be the 7th and the 8th of November. It will be in Leiden. It will actually be at the same location that we had EDC in. It's a thinking center, so they do a lot with thinking sports. They have a bar available right there. Last time they were actually really supportive, also interested in the game. It's a really fun environment.
All right,
and good to reach from Schiphol.
Right. Yeah. Well, I think people enjoyed the venue for EDC, right? I mean, it was a big hit.
Yeah, I thought so. And they're very accommodating. If there's a lot of people, we'll have 2 rooms. If there's less people, we'll have 1 room. It'll be specifically tailored to what this event ends up being.
And how many rounds of diplomacy do you anticipate doing?
We plan to do 3, so 2 rounds on the Saturday and 1 round on the Sunday, so that if people have work or anything else, studies maybe during the week, they can just come in maybe Friday evening or even Saturday morning and can play. And of course, we have awards and a social activity as well.
And then lodging is nearby?
Sorry?
Sorry, accommodations are nearby the event, like for play.
Yes, of course. Yeah, there's a lot to find in Leiden itself. Not as much if you want to stay with a big group, but if you want to stay with 1 to 4 people, it's very easy. You could also stay in Amsterdam if you wanted, or Rotterdam, which is relatively close. It's only 20 minutes from Schiphol to Leiden, so it's very easily accessible. And there's trains running a lot, so it should be able to people should be able to access it. And accommodation wise, that just means you can stay anywhere. I recommend just staying in Leiden because it's a really nice and beautiful city and you'll be close. If you want more information on accommodation, you can also always message Jelte or me or any of the other organizers.
Great. Why do you think people should come to this? Let's hear your sales pitch. Why should people come to this event in early November in Leiden?
It's going to be super fun. I think because it's such a celebration of also Dutch diplomacy. Of course, we're welcoming to international players, but I think the Dutch hobby is quite a special hobby. People tend to not really care about results. People just play to have fun, and you feel that through the entire tournament. I've seen it at the Dutch NDCs. I've also seen it at EDC to some extent. And I think that's a fun environment to play in. There's also going to be a social event. We're still rounding up the details, but Frank actually thought of this, I believe. Frank Oostrom is also one of the organizers, which I believe will be really fun. I think it's going to be a very chill event. If you're looking to just go, have fun, this is the event you should go to.
Who do you expect to come to this? Do you think it will be mostly Dutch players at this event, or do you already know you'll have some travelers?
I think it's going to be primarily Dutch players based on the sign-ups we've gotten so far, but there's also international attendance. Nastja Styles has already signed up, as well as Alexander Styles. Zimi Weesendoep has not signed up yet, but is really likely to come. And of the Dutch players, there's also players you will know. Emily Kramer is coming. She played her 2nd tournament and won it in Germany, and now she's here to go for the Dutch title. Alex from Italy, Alex Lebedev, might come. Still not sure, but someone could come. David Wigglesworth wants to come. Still needs to see if he can make it. But there's a lot of maybes in the air that we hope are likely. And other than that, it's just a lot of Dutch players we've seen all around. And all of our organizers. Jelte acts as the TD. All of our other organizers, including myself, will be players. So if you want to go up against me, you should also come.
Well, that's a good reason for people to come. But let's turn those maybes into yeses, folks. Those are watching this video, and those of you that are didn't know about this, let's turn you into at least a maybe right now. This event's going to be awesome, and that's why we're putting Maaike on this episode of Deadline. All right, well, let's segue just a minute. It's great to see this new event on what I call the European circuit, and it's not the only new one. There was a Frankfurt tournament being new this year. How do you think the scene in Europe has changed recently, and why, if it has changed, why?
I think it absolutely has changed. We have a lot of new people in general. There's hobbies have emerged where there previously was none. Jelte has played a big part in that. If he finds someone in a country, he really encourages them to start a diplomacy scene, and some of them do. We've seen it happen in Norway, in Sweden, in Poland, where now Piotr is also planning to host an event. But also with David, who has now organized the Frankfurt one. And I think something I've really seen over the past years is that over the whole of Europe, people are working together as organizers and are advising each other and are offering to help wherever needed. For example, I as well, as someone didn't really know where to advertise. I thought, oh, I know where to advertise. And I put it in, and next week it was in the newsletter. And I think there's such a feeling of collaboration and wanting to lift each other up. There's so many separately spread hobbies. I feel like a lot of the European hobbies are very different from each other, but they are alike in that they want to help each other. And that togetherness is really nice. And you can see that in the number of people who keep coming and coming. It's a nice environment, and people want to be there and also want to organize.
That all sounds right to me, just from the outside looking in. That like kind of collaboration is definitely part of the reason that you've had this transformation in tournaments. I mean, Europe has always, continental Europe, but UK's is sort of a different category. The continental Europe used to sort of lead the hobby, honestly, in number of events, number of people going to tournaments. So it is great that has come back. Let me ask a question for some folks who may be wondering, particularly people who live in a place where English is the only language that anybody ever speaks, and so you can see sometimes somebody from North America, somebody somewhere else might be a little concerned about going to a country where the primary language is not English. Is that going to be an issue for playing in the game or socializing or anything else? What do you say about that?
In my experience, not at all. I think in a lot of Europe, everyone speaks English really well. There might be some countries like France, where a lot of people do maybe prefer to speak French. I've been there. There has been French-only boards. For the people who don't speak English, they can be on there. The people that do speak English can play with the English-speaking people. They have cards with translations of terms that are used a lot within diplomacy. I have never noticed any problems with English, even in those countries that are maybe stereotyped to be different. I also think it's beautiful to have a celebration of those languages. For me, playing in Dutch is very different from playing in English, and I think that should be celebrated. But of course, we're not going to exclude anyone, and I haven't seen that anywhere. Maybe some of the social talks will be in French, but if you stand next to them, they'll transfer to English, and that's the case anywhere in Europe. I've not had any issues there. Neither have I heard from the people who did come from English-speaking countries.
Yeah, I think that another way in which you're celebrating the different languages is the 7 Years' War League, where you have games being played in multiple languages in the same tournament, which I just think is awesome.
I love the 7 Years' War. It's a great league.
Yep. And that's just the language issue is just one of the cool things about that league. I would say the French hobby is sort of a separate case. There are tournaments that I think are not well integrated into the rest of our world diplomacy scene simply because they're in French, which is no big problem. But because people should be able to have a tournament in French. I mean, for no question. But do you think that has led to any? Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, I think they're not tournaments that are in French. There's just a lot of French spoken because there's a lot of French attendees, which is a difference.
It is a difference, but it comes from the fact that some of those tournaments are not publicized in English, so they're not.
That's true.
That's the issue, and it's not really an issue. It's just a thing that we all know exists.
Yeah.
But I was just making sure you didn't think that was an issue for anybody, and I want people out there who are wondering, well, I would like to go to this tournament, but I'm not sure about going to a place where I don't speak the local language.
Well, I don't speak French very well. I speak it a little, but not good enough to understand all the French diplomacy. I've not ever had an issue. Sometimes the information, the advertisements can be in French. We all have Google Translate. It's not that difficult. The other day I found out some information about a French tournament. I found it somewhere. I didn't really know that existed. So I texted the organizer and I said, hey, I heard there's a tournament. Do you have more info? He gave me more info. I even said, I don't know how that works with traveling. He said, I can change the times. We'll accommodate to you. Just ask and you'll be fine.
Yeah, that is very good advice. And also, World Diplomacy Reference has information on almost all upcoming tournaments, regardless of what country they're in and regardless of how well they might have been publicized in some other venues. So I would say World Diplomacy Reference is a great place to go to find out.
That's a good one. We also, of course, have the DBN agenda. I also look at the UK calendar, which gets updated frequently. For the French ones, Diplomania is a good one to find your information. Usually, at least the organizers are clear. So, and any organizer I know is very happy with people approaching them with any questions.
Yes, we have some great organizers in Europe and everywhere else. They're really the backbone of how things get done. People just
Absolutely.
do it. People take the initiative and do it themselves, and good for them. What opportunities do you think there are for continued growth in the European hobby or anywhere?
I think we're seeing it already. There's more French tournaments this year. This Dutch event is new. The Frankfurt one is new. Alex Lebedev has been encouraged to bring back a Verona event, which I believe has not been held for the past 15 years. But he has been wanting to take it up. Other people have encouraged him. Now he's doing it, and it's coming up also in November, I believe. I think what we should do is to keep working together, have good talks with each other. We tend to have talks as well, like, hey, who wants to organize EDC next year? Do you want to do it? Okay, then maybe you should focus a bit more on your local hobby. Things like that. Just keep in touch with each other, and I think let's all make sure that everyone has fun, that we encourage people to stay. I think a separate thing that we can also focus on a bit more. I'm going to speak for the diplomacy diversity group a bit now, is to encourage people from different backgrounds to come. That can be of any sort of diversity. One of the things is more women, and just keep being or becoming a very inclusive and fun place to be, and then people will come back, and we've seen people come back. So I think we should continue that path forward.
Oh, I totally support that last comment. And things are so much better in that front than they were when I started in the hobby. I mean, so much better. So, but that doesn't mean there's not room for improvement, because there is. Absolutely room for improvement.
Yeah, exactly. It's been better since I've joined already, and that has not been that long.
Well, let's all just say it's better because you joined. Let's go ahead and say that it's a cause and effect relationship. Maaike Blom has made our hobby better. All right, that is just a fact.
Single-handedly, surely.
Maybe not single-handedly, but certainly a large percentage, I'm going to argue.
That's sweet,
all right. Well, I was somewhat kidding, but not entirely. It's great to have you in the hobby. It's great to have you on Deadline. Any final thoughts for our audience about the Dutch Masters or any other subject before we let you go?
Go try to be the next Dutch Master.
Yes, well, you could be the first Dutch Master, right? Because they'll this is the inaugural tournament, so you could be the first Dutch Master. Who doesn't want to be that?
And also, we had a very old trophy for the Dutch NDC. You will have the first very new trophy for this event, and will be super welcoming.
It's getting better and better. Every time you get another detail out, it gets better and better. Well, thank you for being on the show, Maaike. And as always, thanks for everything that you and Yelta and all the other organizers in the Netherlands and frankly in Europe in general are doing to help build up the hobby in that part of the world.
Yes, and thank you, David, because you've done just as much yourself.
Now, folks, clearly that was not enough. So let's do a second Where to Play segment. This time focusing on the upcoming European Diplomacy Championship in England. So welcome to Deadline, guys.
Thank you very much, David. Great to be here. Great to be here and meet one of my diplomacy idols.
Oh, yes, I think meeting Garry. Chris. Yes, Garry Sturley is an idol. He is, shall we say, a world-class idol.
Yeah, how are you spelling idol there, David?
Right, it's idol worship, and IDLE it does make sense also. All right, Chris, let's start with you. Tell us where you live and what you do when you are not involved in diplomacy, as if there's any time for you not to be involved. When you're not involved, what little time that is, what do you do?
Born and raised in Chesterfield for the last 42 years, which is in the middle of England. About as far as you can get from the coast here, but that's not far, about 90 minutes. So I'm an operations director by day for an engineering firm, and getting into diplomacy has really helped actually with my career. Outside that, I have a 5-month-old, my first child. She's just learning to sit up. When that occupies pretty much all of my time, but try and get in as much Lego building and collecting as possible. That's a little flavour.
Just wait till your 5-year-old gets old enough to help with the Lego building. That's going to be awesome.
Indeed, yeah. As long as it's building and not
behind you. If those things behind you are Lego, Chris, which I suspect
the car,
yeah.
What do we have? What do we have back there?
We've got the Mercedes Formula One car, which is loosely held on the wall. The dip in a bottle. Got the Tron title from the movie, and a small Groot figure from the Avengers. Got probably 150 pieces around the house.
Nice.
Well, that is awesome, and I've known people that have been really into Lego building, and it is really, I mean, it's the same type of thing when we used to do the old model kits, except it's just a cooler way to do it, in my opinion.
Exactly.
So I think that's awesome. All right, Garry, you need to tell us something equally interesting, if you can, about
equally interesting. Well, yeah. I'm gonna say that your question was, what do you do when you're not involved in diplomacy? And I have to say that over the last 12 months, it feels like I can't escape diplomacy, even though I haven't actually been playing very much. So the reason for that is my big news in autumn 2025, fall for the American audience, was my move to Yorkshire. So obviously diplomacy link there, where I got married, now live very happily. And then the two big events earlier this year were to travel from Yorkshire first to Belgium and then to Norway. So I think you couldn't really get a more diplomacy linked life there. So I kind of feel that my life is sort of imitating diplomacy, whether I like it or not. But yeah, outside of that, I'm a mortgage broker, not a glamorous job, but it pays the bills. And I'm going to try and match Chris's geekery with the Lego with the fact that just recently I've been doing a lot of quest design for the 1980s, 1990s fantasy role-playing game Rolemaster. So if there's anyone in your audience who recognizes that name, I'd love to hear from them. Because it's
I recognize that name, and you're right. That is pretty geeky. I don't know if that's geekier than Woogie's thing or not, but they're both pretty geeky, let's be honest. Which is surprising because nobody else in the diplomacy hobby has any geeky activities that they do, or any geeky hobbies.
I know. We're the outliers of three.
It's just you two. It's surprising.
We're letting the side down, evidently.
Apparently so. All right, Sturley, how did you get into this game of diplomacy anyway?
Well, yes. So back in, I guess, the late 80s when I was a teenager, one of my friends must have got diplomacy as a birthday or Christmas present. And so we used to play it, and it was great fun. And then I grew up, I totally forgot about it. And then one day out of nowhere, I've just kind of got this flash of, what was that board game I used to play? And I was lucky enough that the internet was sufficiently advanced. I could do a few searches, find the artwork that was on the board, trace it back. And that led me, from one website to another. I ended up on Playdip, which you guys, I think Chris, played it well, and David, maybe you're aware of it. Met some absolutely fantastic people, had a great time getting to know those guys, and ended up running face-to-face tournaments as a consequence. So just, that organic process of just a very chance random memory coming out of nowhere.
So many of us start with playing a game that some friend of ours had. It's basically how I started. So that's just the way people start. Woolgar, how about you? How did you get into this game?
Yeah, well, it's going to be similar. I think for most people it will be. I was at university 2002, and I can't remember whether I saw somebody, one of my friends on the course playing it, or they told me about it. Wasn't even aware it was a board game at that time, and I started playing by email with one of the judges that was around at the time.
Yeah.
And after a few, maybe a dozen games, I gave up because I was 0 for 12, and that was that. And
man, what a quitter! What a quitter! Gosh, you need some more.
Yeah, fast forward to 2015, and I needed some help progressing at work around my communication and influencing, I was told. And I thought, oh, I remember that game. I wonder if I can find out what it was and find out if it's still a thing. And yeah, thanks to the internet, I found playdiplomacy.com, and got straight back in and was playing starting half a dozen games a week. And had a bit of a burnout and a relaxation. And through that, got to know a lot of people on the Playdip Discord channel, met Garry and some others, and it's developed from there.
Didn't you run the ODC at one point, Chris? Thinking the Online Diplomacy Championship?
Within Playdip, yeah. So that'd be going back to probably 2017, 2018, I think.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Sorry, I was just going to say it's sad that the website is not the same, certainly, as it used to be.
Well, to some degree, it's been sabotaged. That's one way in which it's not the same. Well, let's dive into the EDC, the European Diplomacy Championship. That's the main reason we're meeting. I want to hear from you first, Woolgar, about all the particulars of the venue and the times and all that, and then we'll talk to Garry a little bit more about the tournaments.
Yeah. So time to get excited. 9 weeks on Friday, we're kicking off with the EDC in Chesterfield, where I'm based, right in the middle of England. Great transport links here. Very historic town. We've had a market charter here for over 800 years, and going back even further, there's settlements over 2,000 years old, right in the middle of Chesterfield. So a lot of history, a lot of culture to see. The old English style. If that's your thing, you need to get over here, play in the EDC. We'll have 4 rounds of diplomacy: Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 2 on the Saturday. And that's the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th of October, just to clarify. Garry, you want to chip in with anything? Or
I think the most important thing, if there was just 2 things that somebody could take from this really is that there is a website, and on the website there is a brochure, and most of your questions will be answered there. So the website is, Chris, remind me.
It is diplomacy.co.uk.
There you go. Yep. Simple as that. So yeah, the event's on there. Click on the event. The brochure will be visible once you've done that, plus obviously all the sign up. And that will tell you all sorts of great things. It tell you about how to entertain your spouse if you're traveling with somebody else and what they can do while you're busy invading Belgium. It will tell you accommodation options, transport options, all that kind of stuff. So all that said, please don't hesitate. If you're thinking of coming and that doesn't answer your questions, do get in touch with me, with Chris, with any of the other guys involved in this.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got loads of contact details on the website. We've got a WhatsApp group set up for people who have registered. I think we're at 6 full board already. I think we'll get to 8. I'm hoping for 10. We've got 2.
That would be spectacular. Tell us a little bit about who's registered already. Let's do some name dropping.
So I had a quick look actually, by chance, to see how many world champions are coming. We've got 4 signed up already. But the real surprising thing actually about the attendee list is it's wide open. There's at least a dozen out of the 40 odd I don't recognise. None of the organising team really know, and so I think we've got that range of people. We've got the usual suspects. I don't know about dropping names with GDPR, but probably can in a safe space. It's not going anywhere, is it? We've got WDC winner McCarlis. We've got WDC winner Toby Harris in attendance. We've got people from France. We've got the Netherlands. We've got Germany. We've got Australia ×2. We've got the US ×3 and one from Canada. We've got a real spread.
Oh, that sounds awesome. Now, you mentioned there was a team of people organizing. If the audience doesn't like either one of you two guys, maybe they like some of the other people that are involved in organizing. So who else is an organizer?
So Bradley Grace and Conrad Woodring have done a lot of input into our marketing, really pushing the sign-ups, getting the message out there. Myself, I will be sort of the host officially, organising logistics on the weekend, while Garry will be the official tournament director. So he'll be doing the in-game management, and I'll be doing the wider tournament management. Hopefully Bradley and Conrad will be playing, but they've really supported us in this thing, getting things to where they are. We've bounced things off each other. We've had a lot of long discussions about EDC to be this year.
Well, this has been in the works for a while, right? You did. I mean, the idea of hosting EDC again in England was something you came to a couple of years ago, right? I mean, that's how long.
Certainly, yeah. We've got a manifesto, I believe. I believe that's what it's called, that sets out sort of our path from 2024 to 2029. I think there might be a mention of a WDC in there, although it's a little way off still. But yeah, we've set our sights on the EDC for a while, and we've been growing the scene. We've had a growth in tournaments every year from 2021, when there was nothing the previous year.
Right.
And now we've got tournaments annually in Warrington, Chesterfield. We've got monthly tournaments in London. We've got an annual tournament now started in the Northeast, in Middlesbrough. I think we've got something going on last weekend at MidCon. Is that right, Garry?
I think so, yeah. I wasn't able to attend, but I'm pretty sure that happened. Yeah.
So, yeah. it's amazing how much of a life it's taken on.
It really has.
If I could just add to that as well, David, I have been to events that Chris has set up and run in the past, and was very impressed by his, like you said, getting the logistics right, making sure that the venue is good, everyone has stuff to do in the evenings, all that kind of thing, which is very easy to miss or very easy to get wrong. And Chris did a great job, so I've every confidence this is going to be even better.
Well, Garry, tell us why do you think the European Diplomacy Championships is important? I mean, it's been going on since 1993, but why do you think that it's important to the hobby?
Well, I think what we've just seen over the last couple of months, absolutely fantastic Football World Cup in the USA. And this brought together people from all over the world, and obviously we haven't necessarily got the aspect of the fan culture with diplomacy, but certainly, so many teams, so many players that surprised, that delighted, that brought in their own cultures, their own worldview of that particular sport, all on show in one place. And, Europe has 50 countries, the same way as the US has 50 states. All of those countries have their own cultures, their own languages, and I'm sure that applies to their diplomacy culture as well. I've spoken to French players who are baffled by the way British players or Americans approach the game. And so it's a great way, I think, of bringing all those people together, sharing different ideas, learning new ways to see and interpret the game, make some new friends, obviously, perhaps get some holiday invites to Italy or France or whatever with your newfound best buddy as well. As a total bonus. But just bringing people out of their little comfortable silos of their own culture, their own way of doing things, their own club. And I know as Brits, we're pretty terrible at this. We speak English and only English in the main. And if we can't get on with the local language, we tend not to get involved with stuff. And it breaks that bubble. It gets people past that. And I guarantee that some of these names that Chris has said we don't recognise, they will be brilliant players and they will be well respected in their countries. And we've never heard of them. And it's going to really be interesting when those people get playing and take people by surprise.
Wait, y'all speak English? I wasn't.
Yeah,
that's a little bit
dialect of it, but
that is news to me. Well,
I think perhaps the same could be said about the language barriers within England.
Yes, indeed.
When I was young, I used to tune into prime minister's questions just to listen to the different accents and try to place where they were within the UK, because I found that fascinating.
It's a great game. Yeah.
All right, Woolgie, let's talk about the European hobby in general. What do you think the Europeans are looking for in an EDC, and are you going to give it to them?
That is the ultimate question, I suppose. We've thought about it, we've pondered on it. We don't know if we're right, but what we feel is what we've pushed into our 3 core rules for this tournament, which is show respect, expect respect, and have fun. And a lot of time is given by a lot of people to events like this. No one wants to do that for control or power. They want to do that for the love of the game. And I think if everyone that's coming brings that, then the event will be a success. So I think, and I hope, that is what people are looking for, and that is what we intend to provide. A place where people feel included and welcome and able to be respected and have fun. So that's at the heart of what we're doing. People obviously want it to be organised and run smoothly and not be rule bending and changing decisions all the time and have a structure. And so that's why we've been investing a lot of time in prep. We've been printing giant pieces and testing them on board to make sure that things work. We've been doing draw testing to make sure that the ideas that we've got around that really smoothly. We've been testing different room layouts with different numbers of boards to make sure that the flow is right. So we're putting a lot of effort in now. So hopefully everyone can have fun, including me. That was there.
Well, that all sounds great, and that does sound like what people would be looking for. I think if anybody's watching this interview and they're not excited about this event in early October, they haven't been paying attention.
No,
because
we are
Well said.
Yeah, it sounds awesome. All right, any final thoughts for our audience, Garry Sturley?
I just think that it really feels like the UK hobby is having a moment. We've got this real influx of enthusiastic, energetic, passionate people, and a lot of youth. And quite often I'll go to an event now to do with diplomacy and feel like the oldest person in the room. I'm only 52, and that's great. That means the hobby's in good hands. It's got passion and enthusiasm driving it forwards. And I am very confident we're going to see that come out and be on clear display in Chesterfield.
Awesome. How about you, Chris? Final thoughts?
Yeah, exactly what Garry said. I think with one final thought, just a plea to say, if you're thinking about EDC in October, stop thinking about it. What are you waiting for? If you're worried about something, check the brochure. The information is in there. If you don't feel that it is in there, then get in touch with us through the website. We can hook up with you on WhatsApp or Discord, whatever it takes to get you confident that you're going to have to.
Well, on that note, I will say thank you for being on the show. I only ask for one more commitment from both of you, which is that you do not let McCullough's Comrades win another freaking tournament. That's the only thing. I believe that's the only thing that the hobby is asking for at this point. Is for someone
I
else
can't make any promises, David.
No, you can't, apparently, because he will do what he is going to do.
Oh yeah.
All right, fellas. Thanks so much for being on the show, and good luck to you all running this event. I think it's going to be awesome.
Thank you very much for having us, David.
Thank
we really
you.
appreciate it.
Thanks to all of you watching at home. We hope you have enjoyed this broadcast of Deadline. If you have news, ideas for features, or feedback of any kind, please feel free to send an email to info@diplobn.com, or you can drop me a line directly using davidhood@dixiecon.com. To review all of our broadcast offerings, visit our website at www.diplobn.com. This is David Hood signing off. I wish you brightness and bliss and, of course, Belgium.